hesitation, no doubts.
That's it?
That's it.
I got it.
And now a word from
Ron and Fez.
Prescription is more cowbell.
Buddies, it's the Ron and Fez Show. I'm Ron, there's Fez.
Hiya, buddies.
And we're with you this evening. Beautiful night out, Fez. And we got an iPod to give away tonight.
The Apple iPod, and that is courtesy of our friends AOL for Broadband.
AOL for Broadband, Fezzy. As soon as I check in, check all the sporting news. Sometimes I even get updates to games as they're happening. That's one of my favorite things. Well, sit and watch a baseball game that way. I'll just have it on in the background while I'm... matter of fact, I had the no-hitter on that night, or the perfect game, the night while we're on the air, and I'm just watching it out of the corner of my eye while we do the show.
And JFK listeners can get a special trial of AOL for Broadband by calling 1-800-297-1025. Plus, of course, we'll be giving away the iPod tonight.
You know, you told me a frightening thing right before we came in here tonight. You said that your birth was late when you were born. 2 weeks late?
Yeah, I was 2 weeks to the day late.
I guarantee you they would not do that these days. 2 weeks is way too late. Way too late for the baby.
I was a big baby, too.
Well, it isn't a matter of being a big baby. You might be a half a waterhead. That might be some of your lithium problems. You probably stayed in that womb too long. No wonder you hate chains so much. You were literally almost an adult.
I did not want to crawl out of the womb. I was very comfortable in there in my waterbed.
Yeah, they would not do that now. I think a week is as late as they go. I'm not positive about that, but I heard this discussed on some show the other night, something I was watching on TV, 866-277-4969. So maybe that's one of the reasons why you have a hard time with change.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was bad until you looked at me and said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started feeling sick now.
Yeah.
25 years later.
25.
I started feeling all queasy, like something was wrong with me.
25 to what power? That's what I want to know.
Squared.
So maybe that's another reason why you always act like you had such a bad childhood, is that you really, like something might have been wrong with you by hanging around. You overcooked.
Yeah.
You overcooked in there.
Yeah, I'm sure, being bigger, 2 weeks bigger, yeah. I'm sure it was rough trying to get out of the canal.
Yeah, and then again, your mental thing didn't have a chance to catch up, which kind of makes you slow and somewhat indecisive, because I can understand now why you're indecisive.
Oh, I wouldn't say I was, kind of. Well, sort of indecisive. Not much, though. Kind of.
Is that your joke? I don't know. See, I can't tell from your long, overweighted thing whether or not you're joking or whether you really are indecisive. Hey, Kevin, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, hey, Ron and Fez, how you doing?
Cool.
My sister just went through this about a week ago, and I've had a lot of teachers having babies around, and here's the thing. It's usually 4 to 5 days. If it ain't dry by then, they're inducing labor. But, they try to give, it depends on how far the baby is dropped in the womb. They want to give it a chance to have a natural birth as much as
right.
possible. But 4 to 5 days, and they are pulling the cord,
yeah.
so to say.
The most I've heard lately is like a week.
Yeah.
A week later, or they start to say the baby becomes a waterhead. Have you ever been tested, Fez?
For water on my head?
Yeah. What? On the brain, not the whole head.
Well, I'm sure I've been tested as some sort, for some sort of, is he all right? Am I in my percentile or whatever?
I know you're not in your percentile.
In weight, I am.
I mean, now I understand why you felt more comfortable taking girls' gym. Now it totally makes sense to me.
I made it through school.
Hey, I was going to ask you about this, because you always said you had an abusive childhood. Not that you were beat or anything, but, claim mental abuse. Mikey D always claims mental abuse because he had a stage mom. Everybody now has been abused in the year 2004. Nobody just grew up like a normal person. They were all abused, and we're all supposed to feel sorry for them.
We're just now identifying it.
Yeah, as babyism. I saw this on TV, though, and I kind of feel like this kid is behind the 8 ball. Have you seen a television commercial with a kid who's like, he looks like he's about 9 years old, claiming that he wears some kind of Pampers and now he has self-esteem and his life is better?
Oh, yeah, the kid where it's like his brother, never wanted him around or something like that.
Yeah, he couldn't have friends sleep over.
Yeah.
And the kid looks so depressed. And he's acting like, now that I don't know what the name of the product is. Wonder Boy, I want you to find out for me. But as I'm watching this on TV, I'm screaming at my TV, this boy has to go to school on Monday. The other kids are going to call him whiz pants and beat him with sticks.
Yeah, and now he's wearing these kid depends that are supposed to look and feel like real underwear. But, Ronnie, they never do. No, they can't possibly. But first of all, I don't even worry so much. I mean, I'm sure if you had a kid who had a wedding problem, and I don't know why any kids get that. I actually was even thinking as I watched this, we never had this anywhere in my family as far back as I remember anyway. But the kid who has to do the commercial, maybe his parents are getting $5-10 grand for this, but this is going to follow him forever. He might as well have been one of those kids who whizzes in school in his pants. They should have done it as one of those, like, witness protection things where they fuzz the kid's face out, blur it out a little bit, and then change his voice like they do on 2020.
Why even have a kid in there? We know what kids look like. Why not have an adult go, hey, if there's something wrong with your kid and he wets himself, here's what they give him, a really big set of Pampers.
This is a big close-up on this kid, and he's basically just sitting there getting interviewed, telling his story. And then you see him later on running around having fun with some other kids. And I'm thinking, Johnny, or whatever your name is, don't run so fast, you're going to spring another leak.
It's awful, isn't it?
It's really, really bad. It's like those uncomfortable, like, Levitra commercials or something.
No, I see those I don't mind because that's adults doing it, and that's up to them. I have no problem. All right, Fez, you said put the kid in the witness protection program. This actually is called the wetness protection program. That must have been somewhere in the back of your mind when you saw that.
Where we are not going to identify these bedwetters.
God, these people are telling all their problems. I was in 7th grade. I was 6'2". That's big for beginning 7th grader.
And it was still happening?
Yeah.
I thought it was like... I thought you outgrew it after, I would say, maybe 2nd grade.
I had no idea that anyone in 2nd grade did. Except for there was a TV movie... with the guy who played Little Joe. What was his name?
Michael Landon.
The Michael Landon TV movie. Did you ever see that? Where he would wet his bed as like a 5th or 6th grader, and then he would have to run home every day after school because his mom and dad would hang the sheets out so that other kids could see it as a way of trying to humiliate him. And then that had him get ready to somehow become a javelin player and an actor because he had to act like he didn't wet himself. And then he also used to have to throw a stick to knock the sheet down. And we were supposed to kind of be touched by this. And all I kept thinking to myself is, why would you put this in a movie about yourself? You have the opportunity. Now you're a big star. Cover it up. Live with your shame.
Right now, people are just thinking about your medals, not your big yellow flag that you're flying out in the backyard.
Right. I'd still tease the guy, no matter how many TV shows he had. All right, we got the commercial?
Yeah, and we have the commercials for a product called Good Nights.
All right, Good Nights. So why did he send me the wetness protection program at Dubs?
Wetting the bed, I'd really like to stop that. If one of my friends came over and I wet the bed, I would feel scared. They have helped because I don't wet the sheet anymore because of the Good Nights. So I don't have to change my sheet or my blanket. I just put on new ones and I go right back to sleep.
To the 1 in 10 kids who wet the bed, good night.
1 in 10 kids. Does this kid sound so depressed, like someone's got a gun to his mom's head, making him say this? Now, they're saying 1 in 10 kids wet the bed?
That seems like an awful lot.
And the spot is awful, too. He's just on a black background. It's really...
I mean, you see, like, the little bags under his eyes, like,
Yeah.
I've been tortured into doing this spot.
And you can tell the way it's cut together. He did not want to have this conversation.
No.
It's just a little snippet after little snippet.
His mom wanted the $12,000 or whatever. It gets him to do a national spot. Believe me, kids in school only need the smallest thing to attack. My God, you have a freckle and everybody wants to beat you up.
And just this whole, I can sneak out in the night and put on a new pair if I have to. My friends will never know. What a life to lead.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about when that happens. I'm literally talking about the little kid actor who had to do this role knowing it's not like he lives in Beverly Hills. He probably lives in Long Beach, and he's got to go to school the following Monday. Kids that age, all they're looking for is half a hair lip to attack somebody like they're wild dogs. All right, Mike the teacher tells me that that's called The Loneliest Runner. From 1976, that TV movie that was about Michael Landon's story.
Running down his leg.
Lance Kerwin played the 13-year-old Landon.
Oh, James at 15.
Yeah. He was wet at 15, is what the name of the movie was. I guess we could ask for bedwetters to call, but I would just be too depressing for me.
Well, I would like to know when this eventually stops, or is that something that adults have? You know, is there a point where you go beyond?
If I had to guess, I would say it was you, Fez, because of all your problems, and I see the way since you got on the lithium, your leg shakes every night, I would be sure to bet you were a bedwetter.
My leg shakes, but that's not because I have to go. I will take myself if I have to the little Fez's room.
Well, let me see this. He is part of something. There's a website called Famous People Who Wet the Bed. I got this from the real producer of the show, Mizzle the Tizzle.
Thank you, Mizzle.
Michael Landon is probably the most famous. Let's see who else we got. This one's going to shock you, Fez. FDR was a bedwetter.
Was that after he lost the use of his legs?
I can't read the whole thing. I'm on the air. Suzanne Summers. That's oddly hot.
Wow. Something that rhymes with Chrissy.
So they're the big ones. Well, that's not 1 in every 10 like they're selling on that commercial.
It's not even 1 out of every 10 celebrities.
No.
Maybe they're just saying that to this kid to make him feel better.
It's not this kid. This kid is an actor. He's not a real bedwetter. That's the point that I was trying to make earlier. You're attacking bedwetters. I'm attacking the parents who let this kid have to do this role on TV knowing Monday morning he walks into that playground and the other kids are going to attack like there's no tomorrow. They're just going to lay him out.
And they think the effective thing is having a kid do the commercial.
Why would they? Why hurt a child? Why bring a kid down? Why not have a guy playing a doctor do it?
So are you going to have, like, are other kids supposed to see this ad and go to their parents and say, Mom, Dad, this is what I want. Can we get these?
No, I'm sure the parents themselves just go, hey, finally we can stop making our kids sleep in the tub and put these things on them. Oh, just terrible.
And I can get the sheets back off the line.
Well, we are giving out an iPod tonight, Fezzy, which always a cool idea.
Yep, the Apple iPod from AOL for broadband. Of course, you can download all kinds of music. You can go to the iTunes store online and download songs there.
What was your big problem as a kid, Fez?
The weight.
And then you said you had the bad mom.
Yeah, definitely the bad mom.
You were raised a Lutheran, and you were raised in the church with that whole Luther Vandross thing.
No, it was Lutheran, but it wasn't Luther Vandross. That's not who we followed.
Martin Luther King?
No, it was Jesus who we followed. God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit.
Where'd you follow him?
That was who we prayed to.
Oh, okay. When I heard the Lutheran, I naturally assumed maybe at the outside it would be Lex Luthor.
But, like, this kid's, wanting to have sleepovers. That was something I was never allowed to have. We weren't allowed to have friends over to the house.
Why?
They were going to mess it up. And you've seen it. Like, that's possible.
Yeah. You know who was always that way in my neighborhood was any Italian family always had one room, like the living room, that the children weren't allowed to go in or wear shoes in. Like if you would have always in my neighborhood, you would have to pass through the living room to get upstairs. And these people always had this room, like even the adults didn't use it. It was kept so perfectly. And the rest of the house was, crap like everybody else's in the neighborhood. And yet you had to tiptoe in your socks over these white rugs or whatever because of this beautiful room. And one of the fathers actually took nails and hammered the front door shut so that nobody could end up trampling through there.
It's such a waste of space. You're like losing a quarter of your house by not using that room.
Well, it was like a furniture zoo. It's like you would pass through there like you do in the zoo just to see the nice furniture in its natural habitat. None of the rest of us were ever allowed to go in and actually sit on this plastic-covered furniture.
I always liked it when the good sofa that was in the living room got moved to the family room because you got another sofa.
And it's like a demotion?
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, this fabulous sofa that no one was allowed to go near is now the thing that we jump on and eat popcorn with.
I would have no way of knowing. I think my parents still have the same sofa from when I was a baby.
Once you find your color scheme, it's hard to change up.
One time, I was in so much trouble, and I remember being so little, like 4 or 5, and we had this, table that had two kind of things up above it, you know what I mean? Like, it was a table, and on each side you could put flowers there because it was raised up. And for whatever reason, I thought it looked like a wagon or something, right? And I got caught sitting on this thing, acting like a cowboy, like I was driving a covered wagon. My mom comes up and is like, oh my God, it's the good table. Just went crazy.
Our good stuff, our good furniture was actually the stuff that Grandma didn't want anymore.
Yeah.
And it just got moved into our house.
Yeah, a lot of people get their good stuff that way. It's always weird when you have things that are like the good thing anyway. You know what I mean? Like when you were a kid, remember you had your good shoes. Don't wear your good shoes out. Don't wear your good pants out. What do you mean good? What's so good about it? It's just unused. It's not good.
These shoes aren't good. They hurt my feet because I've never been allowed to break them in.
Yeah, you can't break them in at all. They're good.
I remember one time Grandma broke one of my mother's good glasses, one of her good drinking glasses or crystal or whatever it was.
Yeah, and you couldn't imagine, like, if you got good glasses, you're thinking, why don't we just use them? Why are we forced to sit here and drink out of old peanut butter jars?
We were drinking...
Why am I drinking out of a jelly jar when there's beautiful crystal over there?
We were drinking out of the Shell NFL glasses.
Oh, yeah, you get it at the gas station?
Yeah, and those became the good glasses because my father worked so hard getting all these fill-ups to get the entire league.
Oh, well, let me just point this out. Fez's glasses actually had Crazy Legs Hurst on them. That's how far back he goes.
There wasn't that many teams. It wasn't that big a deal.
So, yeah, we always had the good shoes, the good room. The good room, which is it's actually hurtful to the rest of the house.
My dad drove the good car.
Yeah, right. There was like the mom's car that everybody could go into, and then that good car that was used for your dad to go to work, and, of course, anything at all where someone dies. Remember, like, this is the other thing. When there would be a wedding in the family and they would try to collect all the good cars from different uncles, so there'd be like a Cadillac in there that the bride would run in, and then suddenly it's becoming Impalas, maybe an LTD as you move along.
It's the food chain of cars.
Hey, Matt, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
I had 3 things that I was never allowed to use as my good things. It never made sense to me, and this will not make sense when I say it. My mom said that when I went to practice for baseball, I went out and played baseball with my friends, I wasn't allowed to use my good cleats, bat, or glove. I had to use some beat-up tennis shoes a wooden bat, and a glove that I wore like 5 years earlier. And when I would go to play, my feet would hurt because I couldn't break my cleats in, and my glove was so stiff that if you threw a ball to me, I couldn't even close it.
That is crazy. That is insane. And I don't know what it was about that generation that was just obsessed with their good stuff.
Yeah, I had good T-shirts that I wasn't allowed to wear, like, after school to play.
Yeah.
Because those T-shirts were for gym class when I dressed out. So those good T-shirts I could only wear for gym class, well, you're going to sweat them up anyway.
So you actually had good play clothes. It wasn't enough that they were play clothes. It had to be good play clothes. That's insane. It's a T-shirt. And a gym is supposed to look bad. Fuzzy looks like he's the new kid. Like he's little Lord Fauntleroy coming in to play gym.
I'm always white and shiny.
All right, 866-277-4969. Talking about the goods. What did you have in your family that was the good stuff? And just know it. You know for a fact that the Trumps don't sit around wondering what the good stuff is. If you're a Rockefeller, everything is the good stuff. If you're middle class on down, you're making up that, oh, this is really good. That's the good TV that sits in there.
It was everything. I mean, you probably had the good tablecloth like we did.
Yeah, there was like a Sunday tablecloth with Thanksgiving.
And heaven forbid you spilled something on the good tablecloth.
I know.
That's on a table covered with food.
Right. All hell will break loose. There was good silverware, on and on, that you only saw once a year, maybe twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. We'll take a break here. 866-277-4969. It's the Ron and Fez Show.